Pow Wow, yo yippee yay guys. Today is Pow Wow number 38. Today we're going to deep dive into Bitcoin with new records high. Then we're talking about DeFi. Yield farming, is it over now that Harvest got hacked? Then obviously talk about SwissBorg network and our beautiful CHSB token. As you guys know, my name is Cyrus Fazel, the proud founder CEO of SwissBorg, always here to serve you. Okay guys, so let's dive into the most beautiful thing of this show. Our beautiful pictures, family pictures. If you're not in it, you know what to do, you know what the trend, just send over via Telegram, or if not, obviously through social media, and we'll add you. Big announcement of the week. We have finally passed 45 million SwissBorg tokens staked on the Wealth app, which is really cool. Thank you so much for all the trust. And I'm so glad that so many premiums are coming on board. Talking about beauty and social media, it seems that even more smart yield is really the big thing happening, and you guys are really enjoying it. As you guys know, Bitcoin is getting more and more mainstream, right? And we're witnessing wiser people and even old folks to get into crypto. And I mean, Tudor Jones is one of the probably smartest hedge fund manager of always. I mean, much better than invested in Warren Buffett, much better than most guys. And he's about to reveal one of, I think, so the smartest thing that people say about Bitcoin, that it's not only, you know, a speculation. There's something much greater to it. It's like investing into a young Apple, a young Microsoft, a young SwissBorg ecosystem. But more than that, what he really defines extremely well is this, guys.
And so I've never had an inflation hedge where you have a kicker that you also have great intellectual capital behind it. So that makes me even more constructive on it. If you think about, if you're long 230s, right, you're effectively short the bond market. That's your inflation hedge. You're really betting on the fallacy of mankind rather than its ingenuity and entrepreneurialism.
So now let's rephrase what he just said. So investing into Bitcoin is like investing into early startup, okay? But more importantly, it's as well inflation a hedge. So for example, people, in order to use an inflation hedge against the markets, buy gold, buy Swiss francs, buy the VIX, which is a great way as volatility spikes when markets fall. You could buy the VIX, which is an index that usually has a negative correlation with stocks. And what we're witnessing right now, what he's saying, it has a double win-win, because now you have this inflation hedge, which is Bitcoin, but at the same time you're investing into human capital, which is a crowdsourced platform where people all believe that there's a great a store of value where people could transfer Bitcoins to the other person around the world. And I think so this is something really big, because, you know, Bitcoin today is just a fraction of what gold is, and it's a fraction of what short position or VIX is. If more smarter hedge fund managers start to see Bitcoin as a great way to essentially hedge their portfolios, that's going to be probably one of the most flowering season ever. Because even if Tudor goes into his fund, they put 3% or 5% of Bitcoin as a hedge, that is great. They're seeking alpha in any type of markets, right? So they always have a long and a short position. And what he's saying here is that there's finally a short position that could have a great use in a portfolio, but a great use for human societies, which is Bitcoin. And I really like that. So please, going forward, I think so, you know, we always talk about the 3 Ps, right? It's profits for investments, it's products, and philosophy. And I think so now we could use this as in the profits is not only great because you can make a lot of profit at it, it's a great edge as well. And the last P, which is that it's a great philosophy. So it has that combination of those two, which I think is really cool. And especially for a guy coming from the hedge fund world, which usually some of them are not as open-minded as I would say Tudor is. So this is really good news.
So,
shout out to Mr. Spiff. You win this super cool hat and other goodies. Please send all your information to Clarice at SwissBorg.com, and she will make the huge gift of having great things to come to your door. Talking about cool stuff to happen. If you guys want to earn $3,000 worth of SwissBorg tokens or $2,000, there's all these different positions here. Compliance officer, release engineer as well. We have a growth analyst, which is really cool job, relationship manager too, and a software developer and tests. These are 5 different roles that you guys could introduce or apply to them. And if you essentially introduce one of your friends, you could earn a very big amount of CHSB tokens. So go for it and go on do.swissborg.com. Talking about do.swissborg.com, big shout outs to our wonderful friend Andrea. Thank you for being so awesome. He's been doing a lot of different design. He's an activist, designer. He's done a lot of missions so far, quests as well. We like him very much because he does those beautiful, avatars and a lot of different designs. Thank you so much for doing this. It's really cool. If you guys are not part of the platform, please check it out, do@swissborg.com, and as well join our Discord, the only platform where you could collaborate together. And to witness that our guys are eating better, shout outs to Chris B. Thank you so much for the AMA that's been done recently in German on YouTube, which is really cool to have more and more community that are really enjoying how to grow our network, and new users are coming to the Wealth app that love making good profits while creating a new financial era with us. Great news, Wednesday, so tomorrow we are having a great chat on the future of Bitcoin on Discord. This is going to be done by JM Borg, our lovely, amazing community member. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be really cool to see what's the future of Bitcoin in 2030. We're going to have more and more often talks where people could share their opinions, could share their trading tips, and could build on this great educational tool and platform that we have with Discord. Markets. As you guys know, Bitcoin is on fire. And the main reason is that, Paul Tudor just said it, right? The people are more and more using it as an inflational tool. Institutional money is coming in. We talked about this last week, that Grayscale has had inflows of over $2 or $3 billion in the past weeks, and that is helping this momentum, right? We are seeing more and more a play where we switch from USD to Bitcoin because it's a great tool, it's a great inflationary tool, but more importantly, it's a great way to invest into community that has great human capital behind it. And that is pushing. Obviously, PayPal news is one of the fundamental way, and we're seeing that the markets are losing a lot of momentum and Bitcoin is picking up, which this is very good. We really need to pick up more to really show that this is a safe haven play. And when you think about it, Bitcoin was definitely one of the best investments to have since year to date. The best one was CHSB though. I think so. This is great momentum, and hopefully this trend will continue. The main resistance, as we see it right now, it's around 13,100, and no, a little bit more, 13,200, I think so. Actually, 14,000. Actually, my bad here. And hopefully we'll pass that and go to the next great bull run. Less happy, less enthusiastic. This sucks. So probably some of you have heard about this, but in the night of Sunday, there was not a hack, but a coup, an economic coup that happened. Market manipulation, you could talk that in financial industry. Economic coup or economic crypto coup is that an attacker was able essentially to get $38 million I actually got only 24 million out of it, but was able to generate a loss of $38 million through harvests. Harvests, as some of you probably know, it's a great platform for yield farming, right? It may manage you to have on-chain automation of where to essentially put your treasury, put your liquidity, and harvests in the best way, do yield farming, right? And essentially, so just to make this sure, this was not a problem coming from the smart contract itself. It was coming, so there's no security breach. It was coming from the smart contract of how he would essentially be able to analyze cross-chain solutions, and how he would be able to update his database of thinking. And long story short, what happened is that an attacker with only 10 Ether was able to get over $24 million. And the transaction volume that he brought is over $2 billion, and he spent over $75,000 in gas fees to make sure that all this transaction would happen extremely fast. And that resulted where the AUM of essentially Harvest lost almost 60% in 24 hours. There's still a big amount there, $430 million, but they are no more into the $1 billion baby game. What happened is that people were able to manipulate Curve by using flash loans. Flash loans is a way that you could get strong exposure, a huge set amount of collateral that happen within a transaction if you're able to pay the interests and pay essentially the whole amount behind it. And you could do that with Aave. There's a lot of different platforms you could do flash loans. And by doing that, they were able to systematically push down the prices of one stable coin versus Curve. And by doing that, they essentially were able to get stable coins at 15-16% lower price, and therefore they were just keep on doing that same thing on and on and on, and essentially be able to liquidate one platform Harvest to Curve. And because obviously stable coins could change a bit to, like, say 0.1% or 1% max, but not 15-16%. So essentially what happened is that the computing system of the Oracle was not as smart as we wanted, and the smart contract that did an optimization lately didn't think about this. So I don't know how to say this. It's somewhere, it's like, smart for that guy. It really sucks that 15-16% of assets that were in stable coins on Harvest were lost. We don't know if the attacker, the market maker, I don't know what you call it, or is going to give back the money. Is this a crime? No, it's really market manipulation. It could be seen as a crime, but it's still not a hack though. So we'll see how things goes. And this as well brings to the next element, which is that DeFi is a game changer. We've talked about this in the past sessions, is that this could replace central governments, central banks, that could replace corporate banks, that could replace investment banks, that could replace insurances, brokers, mortgage services. But you need different players in this wild, wild west that has to do some credit scoring. The credit scoring is a very new business into the farming industry, right? Or into the yield farming, or into the DeFi. It's not about just looking at one's collateral. It's really to apprehend the whole risk that is in it, technologically, financially, trading, and then the more casual teams and things like that. But you really have to look this at multiple different layers, and it's much more complicated. And we don't have any rating agencies. There's no S&Ps for this, or there's no Moody's, or you don't have that. But what you have is SwissBorg. And I think so this is really when we come in with our expertise of engineers, of traders, of financial experts, and auditors, smart contracts, that really enables that team to look at this space in a very well mannered. And if you look at the four big buckets today in DeFi, which is, look at yield farming, you look at centralized lending, decentralized lending, and liquidity pools. These are the four main buckets where people could today essentially enjoy these passive interest rates that could, go up to 20, 30, 40, 50% APY, right? And what we're putting in place is it's an oracle that enables really people to first filter where are we going to define this investment universe, right? And then after, how we're going to allocate to these different pockets, right? And the first is defining investment universe. And how do we do that? It is really by putting in this SaaS and looking at the optimal deal with minimizing the risk. And you need to go through multiple of these layers, which is smart contract risk, is auditing the smart contract. But that doesn't mean only looking at, again, the potential hacking, right? How it's the security wise, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that maybe Zeppelin or different auditors could have said that, well, Harvest, there's no security breach in their smart contract. But if their smart contract is then looking at different oracles to the logic behind it that has what it was done, then you could potentially see that, okay, well, what happens if this smart contract interacts with Curve and you're able to essentially modify the components that's in Curve, and essentially if there's a flash clash or whatsoever, what would happen? Or if there's someone manipulating price of these stable coins, what would then the smart contract do? It will just execute in most cases. So these are different ways where you have to really look at diligently if this is doable or not doable, and take all different counterparties which with the smart contract interacts with these different on-chain solutions. And the second part is looking at liquidity risk and making sure that essentially these different pools have a certain amount of liquidity, and that you're not the only one in, right? Then you look at stablecoin, right? And stablecoins like at USDC, USDT, or DAI is very different. And like, for example, if you are investing in DAI within that pool, well, you have to make sure that, if there's another flash crash, will DAI be able to execute, their collateral of their, the multi-DAI of all the Ether and BAT and whatever ERC20 tokens they have, to make sure that you'll have that parity of, $1 versus one DAI, right? The fourth part is really looking at counterparty exposure. Like, you want to make sure that you don't have all the same baskets, and so all eggs in the same basket, the pool size, and obviously at the end gas price, right? And these are ways to really define the investment universe. And once you have that, then the best way to really provide best yields, it is to then make a scoring system. And this scoring system, again, could go from 0 to 10, and you want to make sure that the allocation of the different essentially smart yield is well balanced. It's not only diversified, but it has a great and these are really based on multiple different factors, as we could see here. And this is exactly what the Oracle does at SwissBorg, and we're extremely proud of doing that. People, a lot of people have been talking about how wealth management is something for only rich people, and we strongly believe at SwissBorg that was true until we came into the market. And if you look at this, Swiss banks have been dominating this for 20th century. In 2010, different startups came in and different new banks came in the US and started to offer robo-advisor, where some took off and some didn't. And with emergence with blockchain technology and Bitcoin, we have seen new hopes. But these hopes haven't really been capitalized so much because of now there's mainly do-it-yourself trading platforms. And the great thing with DeFi and with the space today is that there's a very big amount of crypto people. There's like over 100 million users now on Earth that are on crypto. And the great thing as well is that we have a very big amount of people that have like over $100,000 worth of crypto. It's actually close to 100,000 people. And now with PayPal coming on board, bringing 340 million users to buy Bitcoin, we know that this is going to grow much more, right? We're probably going to get into the 300 million users by the end of, H2 or H1 next summer, essentially. And the biggest news is really coming from these CBDCs, right? DCEP was just launched a week ago. The Chinese government had the balls, essentially, to launch their own digital yuan in Shenzhen and hopefully in other places as we speak. And this really shows that with Christine Lagarde, the head of ECB, and Libra probably going to, whatever I think so president's going to happen, Libra is going to show up, right? And that's going to show up most probably, end of Q1 next year. We're going to see that pretty much 3.5 billion users are going to be into crypto through CBDCs, through PayPal, and more importantly, through us. Why? Well, the first thing is that we're probably one of the best platforms, the easiest platform to get into. The second thing is that all these people that will have a big amount of wealth, they're not going to trade like everyone. They're just going to need to passively push on a button and say, okay, I want that smart yield. Push on that button, I want an investment theme that, does this and that. Push that button and say, okay, this is my risk profile. What can I get as an investment mandate? And this is really where we tap into this. And, as you just see, in the next 2 years, there are going to be more than 10 million very wealthy people that will need the Wealth app. And more importantly, what they will need is the CHSB token to become premium. Because we'll be adding more and more tiers of premium and better services, and they'll be able to stake more and more CHSB tokens, which will drive the price of CHSB token of where it needs to be. Talking about the Wealth app and beauty, we're close to 55,000 people, 33 million assets under management. Finally, we saw volume picking up, which is really cool. Top country user, merci la France. J'espère que vous passez tous un moment non pas seulement télécharger la Wealth app, mais surtout de l'utiliser. C'est quelque chose qui, j'espère, qui vous enchante énormément. Et pour ceux qui ont vraiment demandé une version française, on est en train d'essayer de la traduire et pour être sûr que vous avez la meilleure expérience qui soit. Great thing is that this last week we never got, there's a person that has really bought a very big amount of CHSB tokens, which is really cool. And a lot of people, and one person sold a big amount of CHSB tokens. That's one of the reasons why it drove the little panic there. But the good thing is that this person will not sell any more CHSB tokens. And the best news of all, largest number of new users week of premium users, which is really good. Congratulations to all you guys. It's really cool to have you as premium. And obviously the price, when it goes lower down, people tend to be more motivated to buy the CHSB token and go premium. CHSB token itself, as you guys know, the biggest utility that's going to bring into the game is how to be premium and get that 2x on the smart yield. I think so this will really have that boost effect. I hope people realize that. And if it's not too late for you to become premium, go for it right now and you get your 2x on the smart yield, which will pay off dividends on the long run. As we just talked about this, 50% of growth in terms of premium, in terms of the other weeks, which is great. We still have 35% to get to the top 100. We need to get there hopefully very soon. A bit more volume on it, 23 million, 2.3 million. I hope it was 23 million. Let's do that for, let's say like, okay. by Christmas, let's have 23 million volume per day. That would be great. CHSB token staked 46 million, which is great. And we have a new protect and burn with 1.7 million CHSB tokens, as you guys know. And we are now filling up quickly with 90,000 CHSB already waiting to get burned, baby, burned. As you guys know, November 10th, AMA with Anthony, my brother. It's going to be really cool. Any questions that you guys have, you could ask them through Twitter. Or if not, you could directly go into the link that's right here. We have comments that you could pause it just right here in the YouTube. We're very happy to answer them as soon as our beautiful event takes place. Kryptonite tomorrow night with Don Song. Looking forward to this. 8 p.m. GMT. As you know, Professor Don Song, she has been into blockchain for a very far time with Oasis Labs. She can talk about scalability, data ownership, DeFi 2.0, about yield farming. I'm looking forward to this another virtual interview. As you guys know, it's always great pleasure that I'm doing this. I hope we had a fun time together. Looking forward for next week with all the love and all the power. Wish you to be healthy and wealthy. Take care, guys. Bye.